Is this a drill or something?
Rian Johnson has recently elaborated that in Star Wars Episode 8, we will find out directly Luke Skywalker's reason for self-exile, and although he didn't explain it in full, some of the things that he did say directly actually gave us key hints as to Luke's motives. He was quoted saying to Entertainment Weekly, "Figuring out where Luke's head was at was the very first thing I had to do when writing the movie. I had to crack this, and it had to be something for me that first and foremost made sense. Why did Luke Skywalker go off to this island?" Johnson says. That was the starting point, and that's what the entire movie explores. But why did Luke run, and shouldn't he have stayed to fight to make this atrocity right, which is something that we've explored with the prequels and Yoda and Ben Kenobi, going to exile, and they definitely explained it in the Clone Wars and also in other materials, and the big question remains for Luke, is this a cycle where the Jedi are doomed to flee every time they get beaten by the Sith or Dark Jedi? And does it make him a coward fleeing? And that was asked to Rian Johnson, and he said, "I didn't want it to. There has to be a good reason that makes sense to him and to some degree makes sense to us. But what is that reason, and what is the possible justification will there be?" Well, what we do know is the following, that Luke vanished in search of one of the first Jedi temples, Arcto. So it was an active search for answers or even peoples. As theorized, Luke may happen upon the teachings of the Wills, predating the Jedi, which says the light and the dark should be in balance, and throw all his Jedi teachings out the window on its head, hence his final line about the Jedi having to end. The theming of The Last Jedi trailer shows some scant books versus clear technology on the Michael Skellig Island Arcto, which is important as it shows that 1, the knowledge is of course very ancient and predating anything we have seen before, and 2, he didn't need a droid like R2 to decipher the info. Now interestingly, Rian Johnson had a very specific request for J.J. Abrams at the end of The Force Awakens. Rian Johnson stated, "Yes, the big favor was I asked if R2 could come with Rey and if BB-8 could stay behind with the Resistance." Johnson said originally it was BB-8 who went with Rey, which makes sense for the story in a way, but I asked, "Can you do me this solid and switch the droids?" Now as we know, R2 was in low power mode in The Force Awakens, sifting through Imperial records for the last piece of the map to find Luke, which is actually very telling of how Luke departed and how quickly. Han Solo wasn't exaggerating that he really just up and left everything. He didn't tell his friends, his family, not even his droid R2, who he originally had by his side during his original Jedi training and adventures.
Why did he leave?
He was training a new generation of Jedi. One boy, an apprentice, turned against him, destroyed it all. Luke felt responsible. He just walked away from everything.
If you were going to find an ancient temple in isolation, I get not telling Han and Leia due to maybe perceived danger or discovery by the First Order, but not even R2 and making your best friend droid look for you, not just to hack the computers that he could have as well. If he was on a temple and he runs into a door he couldn't open, probably need R2. If he needs to pilot a ship, he's an astromech. Also, just the company of being in isolation. So something had Luke so spooked, he left his best friend droid among everyone else in the dark. So he's not a coward, that's confirmed by Rian Johnson. He's actively doing something for the betterment of everybody else. There's something that he needs to find, and he's searching for answers whether to defeat the First Order, to find out how to truly balance the Force as the Wills believe, or to meditate on his failure so that it doesn't happen again, maybe wait for the next generation with training tools. That is something that remains to be seen, and obviously that was explored in the Clone Wars and other materials about why Yoda and Ben Kenobi on the surface seemed pretty cowardice to leave the known galaxy and hide from the Empire instead of fighting themselves. They'll wait for the other generation. However, that has been explained to us. There is also one last thing no one has brought up, and that's Luke's ability to use the Force. There was this persistent rumor that, like the Jedi who became clouded by the dark side in the prequels, Luke's own powers were actually diminished, or that the flip side, he could no longer control them, that he was a living weapon essentially, which made him dangerous. Now, I don't know if the Force went dormant for Luke and he fled looking for answers, and then Rey showed up as it awakened, as Kylo and Snoke had discussed, or maybe he'd become a maelstrom of Force energy and he was trying to isolate himself versus risking harming the ones he loved. Who knows if he had to deal with that for years, and Kylo going off the edge of the rails, like he just became this maelstrom. That would actually be scarier than a lot of things. But what we do know is that he didn't flee. He was searching for something on Ahch-To. Whether he found it or not remains to be seen, and that in his words, the Jedi have to end. So self-discovery, or maybe in texts he's found something that's shifted his core belief systems, but at least he isn't alone now, and his buddy R2, outside of whatever plot device they're using him for, is reunited for his master and the training that's going to go on with Rey. But the beauty of this video is it's just the start of the discussion. It's so exciting to hear from Rian Johnson and say, hey, look, this isn't just some sit back and wait for the next generation to come along. There is a rhyme or a reason, and Luke's story is more important than ever. So let me know in the comments below why you think Luke is on Ahch-To and why it was so important to leave his friends, family, and even droids in the dark. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, because if you love Star Wars, I want to talk to you about it. It's as simple as that, my friends. If you want to stay up to date with the latest Star Wars videos on origins, games, and theories, don't forget to use those Force powers of yours and hit subscribe. And hey, leave a comment below about what you want to see in future videos. It may just get covered. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you. Always.